Hi, I'm Kim Wilson,
And I'm Natasha Marchewka.
and this is Speechless.
Speechless. Speechless.
Welcome to our behind the scenes take on real life in VO, where we share our stories and our resources and our unsolicited opinions. Today, Natasha, we have how do you say, like Lollapalooza? We have the casting palooza of paloozas.
Yes. Right? We have
None other than the famous, go for it.
Kelly and Kathryn from the Voicecaster. The
Oh,
Voicecaster is a casting agency, the very, very, very first agency ever created. It's in Burbank, still
well,
there, opened
explain
45 years ago.
agency. You said first agency, not quite the first agency to bring voice talent together under one
Right,
roof to
right.
dole out to agents and
For voiceover.
for
There
voiceover.
were certainly on camera agents
Yes.
and theatrical agents. This is just for voiceover. The Voicecaster or voicecaster.com is where you'll find all their services. They actually also have workshops and classes, which is such a bonus because these women are working nonstop every day in casting. And so they know their stuff. They know they know good voices and they know bad voices too. Anywho, this show, nuggets of goals and information. You're gonna want to watch this show.
Yeah. I love it. So it's so nice to meet you guys. Natasha, have you met
I've
both?
never met Kelly or
Okay.
Kathryn. Nope.
Okay.
I think
Great.
on VO Weekly Workout, you've been a
Yes.
director for one of, submissions and whatnot, but we've never
Same.
met, which is weird because I go to every conference and whatnot. I don't suppose you guys are at conferences too much, actually.
No, we are going to be at VO Atlanta.
Oh, you are?
Oh, you
So
are.
yeah, we will be. Me and Kathryn will both be there in March. Yeah. So
You
Oh, I'll
sound so
look for you
excited about it,
guys.
Kelly.
yeah. Well, it's new and exciting. We actually haven't been to VO Atlanta ever in the past. So
Uh,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
super fun, super overstimulating. So take
yeah.
take breaks,
That's
people
what we get.
breaks,
You will
because
be
there's
mobbed.
you
You
will
will
be
be
mobbed.
mobbed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yikes.
don't wear name tags.
Good to know. Stay
If you
low
don't
profile.
want to be approached every step that you take. Yeah. Well, the first thing we do
Back
with
on
for
my toes.
every show is we toast. So we're wondering if you brought any
We're
beverages when
wondering
you.
if you drink on the job.
You know, it's so funny. I was like, margaritas. We're gonna do margaritas, and then what did I forget?
The
Your
Margaritas.
margarita.
Oh, Kathryn's got her soda. I've got my coffee.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
A pomegranate gin fizz.
That looks
Ooh,
delicious.
I
That
know
looks
with
So
those
great.
amazing.
seeds.
Yeah.
It
Kim is so
does.
great at beautiful artisanal cocktails. Plus,
Yeah.
she's
Well,
3 hours ahead of us.
I was just
So,
gonna say I'm
Oh,
on the
there you
East
go.
Coast.
See,
I'm on the East Coast.
and I have my Remedy protein drink. This is a super chai fuel. It's not delicious,
I was gonna say, does it
but
taste good or is
the
it
chocolate
wow?
one is delicious. This one is meh, but it has good stuff in it. So
Well, cheers. Thanks for being
cheers.
here, you guys.
Cheers.
Yay. So I know a little bit about Voicecaster. Marilyn Wisner is one of my good friends, and she's told me a little bit of history. I know she worked there way back in the day. When it was created in 1975, was it the first of its kind for voiceover? It was the only casting place?
Yes, yes, it was. So it was founded in 1975 by Bob Lloyd,
Uh-huh.
and he was actually an agent beforehand.
Okay.
And then, yeah, he opened up Voicecaster, just a little tiny one booth kind of
Oh,
office
wow.
place that he, basically got space from a friend, and started working with all of the producers that he was already working with at the agency. And yeah, Voicecaster was born.
So what he did essentially was he was the first person to kind of gather all the voice talent, right,
Hmm.
in one centralized
Yep.
location and was
Yep.
able to then I
Exactly. So
get
that
it.
he was no longer limited to just the talent on his roster.
Oh,
He
okay.
could bring talent from any agency or unrepresented talent in and find the absolute best voice for clients.
Amazing.
So yeah,
It's always voiceover is always kind of been the
revolutionary at the time.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always been the redheaded stepchild of like on camera and theater, right? So
Mhm.
I'm interested, I'd like to think that it's progressed since then, but I do feel
It
like
has.
it's still a little bit, on the
Oh, you think it
outskirts.
is? What do you girls think? I
A
don't
lot of
know.
people think it is just talking, like, oh, I can do that. I
They
read
don't
stories to
get-
my
Oh,
kids.
that's true. Everyone
Right?
thinks that they can do it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's actual acting. You still have to be an actor.
Right.
Well, and all
Right.
4 of us have thriving, very busy careers out of this
Mhm.
little job, right?
Mhm.
Not just the
Yeah.
4 of us, but everyone sitting
Oh, yeah.
here. Like our
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
life is voiceover. It's
Yep.
Can you both talk a little bit about your casting process and what that's like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go first, and then Kathryn, feel free
Sure.
to jump in at any point. But yeah, so we will get something from a client. Just it's this project. We need this type of voice for it. We hammer out all of the details. We argue on your behalf for good rates, things like that. We try to take care of all of that up front. And then once we know what they're looking for, then we can put it out to not only agents that we work with in LA, New York, Chicago, wherever it is. We'll put out the casting breakdown to agents that we work with, as well as talent that are just directly on our roster, people who either don't have representation or still just want us to send the auditions directly, to ensure that they get them if they're not necessarily going to get them through their agents and that kind of thing. So we send it out, we give a deadline. It's a little bit different now than it was pre-COVID. Things have definitely changed. So pre-COVID, we focused primarily in LA. We did do casting everywhere else as well, but a big focus was LA talent and everybody coming into our studio. I would say 95 to 98% of our auditions were all in studio with us.
Were
So
they
you
being
come in.
directed too?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Work with our
Wow.
directors. And the nice thing is that we could show visuals. We could play the music,
Right.
things that we can't send out, we
Oh.
could have in studio. Plus you're getting the casting ear on it right away so that we can direct you, because a lot of times it's like, oh, we have to put this in the spec, but we can't say like a celebrity prototype. We can't use their name in that spec. So, and sometimes that can just give you a clue into, oh, that's what they're going for. So sometimes as we send things out, it's not like it used to be where we could then also give you the added information when you came in to work with us. Actors are going in a little bit more blind than they probably used to. But we are seeing a higher volume of submissions. So, agents are sending in their talent. Depending on the project, we might have 300 voices to listen to. Yesterday I had a project where I had almost 1,400.
Okay.
Do you listen to all of them?
100. So, so here's the thing with that. Pretty much yes. Long answer short, yes. But what we do is, in order to kind of narrow that down, I go through a few like specific steps. And we all kind of do it a little bit differently. But my first step is, first of all, did they follow directions? Because if it's not labeled properly, great, put that in a different folder and I'm going to move on to the next. So I don't even listen to the ones that aren't labeled properly.
Sure, the folder must be G for garbage, I would think.
Yes, pretty much.
That folder is
Yes. And then on that first round through, again, it's, did I ask them to slate or not? And did they follow those instructions?
Wow.
Again, cutting off time on listening, as well as cutting off our editing time, because sometimes we will just spend time editing. Whether it's switching around the takes or, anything like that.
Okay.
So after those couple passes, then we start listening, and usually it's listening to the first 4 or 5 words.
Yeah.
Usually right there, we know if the voice is going to be right for it. And then I usually will put them aside and continue on. So I'll go through everybody like that. And then I might end up with, so like in the 1,400 one that I just did, I ended up with, I think 82 that passed that first round,
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa,
which,
whoa,
I
ba, ba,
mean,
ba,
that's
ba,
pretty
ba.
significant.
That's a lot of people mislabeling.
No, but ladies, these people's
Mislabeling and yeah, just not following instructions and then
Yeah.
also that was my first
1,400.
pass through on. Mhm.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah.
these people are not random off the street because they put their voiceover thing on their door or their desk or whatever.
Mhm.
And that many can be cut off from mistakes
Agencies.
or not following direction.
Oh, right.
Or not
Or just
dropping
aren't
in
even fitting the spec.
Yeah.
or not fitting
Yeah.
the spec.
And then yeah, we're listening to like the first couple words, and sometimes it's like, oh, we're asking
We're
for
looking for
20s
20s and they're setting 50s, or this is supposed to be
Yeah.
men and they're submitting women.
Okay.
Got it.
or it'll say like very specifically American accent, and then we're hearing Brits or other things.
Got it.
So it's yeah. So sometimes it's just people aren't submitting on the right thing, which is a waste of everybody's time. You don't want to waste your time auditioning for something
Instructions
that you're not
and
right for.
follow the instructions and follow
Yeah.
the specs.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay, not to beat this dead horse, but
No, go
you're having stuff from agents. Presumably they're sending the right spec. Are they also trying to wiggle in some off-spec talent as well?
I think so. I think sometimes it's like, oh, I'm gonna throw in this wild card, and
Mhm.
sometimes the wild cards work. Once in a while we'll submit a wild card and be like, you know what, they're a little bit quirky, but I think it could be fun for this spot. Things like that. And the wild cards sometimes book the job, which is great. Sometimes I also think it's the agents are just sending it out to
Everyone.
their rosters,
Right.
Yes.
and then whoever submits on it. So they're relying on the talent to basically cast themselves,
And actors are so afraid to not send something back to the agent that they send it even if they're not right for it.
Yep.
Well, some agents insist
good point.
if they send it to you, you have to do
You
it.
always submit,
Yeah.
And those agents then don't listen to them and just pass them on to casting.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
So you guys do a lot of work.
which we've also weeded out agents over the years as well.
For not
I don't
following the
send to
Sometimes they're just as
every
bad as the
single
actors.
agent out there. Yes.
This is so interesting. Like, this
I
is the
know.
greatest show ever.
I know.
That's one of the reasons why I always tell people reach out to us, get on our roster where we can contact you directly for auditions as well, because
Because then it'll be the right spec.
Work
Right.
with exactly. We're only going to send it to you
If you're right.
If you're the right
Yeah.
spec.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm just like going off script here.
Let me get back to the script. No.
I know that our listeners and viewers are going to say, well, how do we get on their roster? So you absolutely have to share that now. Sorry, gals.
No, that's okay.
Because people will ask us and we don't want to.
It's not a guarantee you'll be on their rosters, but
to submit, how does
submit.
one?
Absolutely. We love having actor submissions. It's one of those things, we can't do our job without actors. So,
Sure.
but yeah, send your demo over to us. The email is casting@voicecaster.com.
No, that's
Wonderful.
easy enough.
And send your demo. Make sure you've got your contact information, an email, a phone number. Let us know where you're located, because sometimes people do want people here in town.
Mhm.
And let us know if you have a home studio.
Mhm.
And let us know if you're interested in projects that are union, non-union, or both, because we do casting for everything.
Wonderful.
And everyone would do well to take that little bit that Kathryn just said and make a sign in their booth to know that that's what you need to have on pretty much every email, but certainly to any submissions. Without your phone number or any of those things, it's just blind.
Yeah.
They need to know the time zone. They need to know that you're a professional, right? To appear, to do all that specific things is to appear professional.
And what your studio setup is.
Right? And that you have a good studio. Yeah.
Right.
So now that the things have shifted so drastically from in-studio auditions to home auditions, the audio quality, how does that affect your choices now?
Yeah. So I
Look at Kathryn laughing. Look at Kathryn laughing.
Let's just say that's an easy way to weed people out too.
It is. It is. I try not to
Okay.
dwell on it too much, especially because, I mean, if there's somebody that I know and I'm like, they're perfect for this, but they had to record on their phone because it was a quick turnaround, or they don't have a studio, but they're willing to come in and record in studio, things like that. I try to set it aside as much as possible, but I also, like we know our clients. And
Sure.
so if we know a client is going to be really picky and just completely disregard them because of the quality, then we probably won't submit them in our top people that we're sending. We only send 5 to 30 on each project. So
It seems to me, and
That's interesting. Yeah.
I could be wrong, but clients sometimes can't see or hear past the audio
Mhm.
technical things.
And it doesn't have to be broadcast quality, but it shouldn't be echoey. It shouldn't sound tinny
Like you're in your
or,
bathroom. Right.
Exactly. So do the best you can to be in an isolated, in a closet surrounded by clothes or under a bed sheet, something to insulate a little bit.
Sure.
Because you're going based on the fact that they're going to be recording in that same environment. No? Yes? I mean, unless
Yes
they're
and
coming
no.
into
Okay.
Okay.
It's more and more, the nice thing is more and more clients are saying, like, we're willing to do a studio, whether it's in LA, New York, wherever. If they have a studio nearby, we're willing to book a studio. So it is opening up again to more people who don't have home studios or amazing home studios. But at the same time, we do have a lot of clients who are listening, and they will ask, like, is that the quality of their home studio? Because it will make a difference.
Sure. Sure.
So you guys have a school. Again, I'm going off script because I think so important. So you're complete and total experts in voiceover casting. Talk to us about your workshops in your school and your thought process about integrating that into your business model, just everything. What you got?
Yeah. So Voicecaster's been offering classes for as
Decades?
long as I've known,
Okay.
probably
30
90s.
years.
So yeah, 30 years or so. Obviously things have changed in terms of what we offer. We offer commercial classes. We offer animation and video game classes. And so it's like we're trying to cover some of the major areas. We're not one of those where it's like you can take classes with us for 10 years. It's like we have 2 or 3 classes in each category because we really focus in on things. You're working with our casting team and VO professionals. In fact, I teach 3 of the classes. I think it's 3 of the
Wow.
classes right now. And so you're working with the casting team. And then we have, private coaching. We have one-day seminars. I do a seminar on marketing and finding representation.
We have a weekly workout group.
Yep, weekly workout group that we're doing virtually.
Wonderful.
So yeah, we try to offer a range of things, in part to, give people, at different levels, because of course we have an intro class, we have a pro class.
Sure.
I have an audition techniques class starting in a couple weeks or next week, maybe. I think it's next week. But that, those are the things that, we want to give actors the tools that we can from the casting side. There's
And
a
that's
lot
what
of
makes us so
workshops out
cool.
there.
Yeah, I mean, when you take classes with us, we try as much as we can to bring students in on projects we're casting. So it can be a good way for people to get their foot in the door as well. If you don't have an agent and if you're new to the industry, but you've taken classes and we think you're right on something, we're going to give you an audition. And we've had lots of people book things that way.
I've had so many people book their
It's
first
great for us
project.
because we're constantly getting exposed to new people, to new voices, because that's something you'll get from clients every now and again is they're like, oh, we've heard these people before, and they want to hear new people. And so we always have an influx of new voices and new talent coming through our doors. And it's great to pass that along as well.
Do you have intermediate talent coming or experienced talent coming as well? Yeah, excellent.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we have classes beginning to pro. So
Can you talk about a little bit about the current trends you see in voiceover now?
yeah, that's always a tricky question. Me and Kathryn were just talking about this earlier today because it's like, oh, it seems like things are shifting a little bit, and then it's like, oh wait, maybe not. So obviously the conversational, which is a word that
Right.
crazy,
But it's
Non-announcer.
It's real. It's real though.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. It's funny because we even get infomercials where they're like, "We want it to be conversational," and I'm like, "I don't think
No,
you
you
do,
don't.
but we're gonna give you conversational." And then they usually come back and they say, "We need to hit the sell a little harder."
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I knew you didn't want conversational, but ultimately, what I think they're usually looking for when they say conversational is actually relatable. It's like they want a relatable voice, so not somebody who's just totally cold and disconnected, but they want a relatable voice who can hit the sell.
engaged. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
So I think that is still a huge thing. I think especially with the upcoming fear of AI. The
Right.
conversational. I know I said it.
I know.
But the conversational is still a big thing. We are seeing more of announcer type reads as well.
What?
Which is kind of fun. We've had a few of those recently, and they're not parodies of the announcer. They're just legit. They want that announcer read.
This is the first
fun.
This is the first interview we've done where I've heard that.
But you
Yeah.
see the
That's
scripts,
amazing.
the copywriting, it's really about the copy, right? So copyright. So clearly you're looking at it and you've written it in a way that I hate to use even the word announcer, but
Yeah.
it's an
Yeah.
announcer with finesse, an announcer that can act, right? An
Exactly.
announcer
Yeah.
that can, but I
Yes.
love what you said about relatable. No
Mhm.
matter what it is, if you can relate to the commercial, relate to the copy, even if it's like completely not in your whatever, figure out how to relate
Mhm.
to it. And I think that might be a secret, right? To connect, to getting it right.
Well,
which
Yeah.
we've
speaking
looked.
of being relatable and all that, what does stand out in winning auditions? Like, what gets you down? Like those final 30? What
Mm.
stands out? I mean,
I
like
would say first.
the quirky, or like she hit the specs right on that.
I don't even think it's all about the specs so much as it is people who are just true to themselves. I
Yeah.
like when I can hear somebody and be like, "Oh, they seem like they'd be fun to work with," or like it just feels natural for them.
Pull it off the page.
Yeah. It's just like the more connected they are, the more natural it feels. They're not trying to be something. They're not trying to, they're not trying to be what they think the client wants. They're just being themselves.
Right.
Mhm.
Therefore being what the client wants, because the client wants you to be yourself. So it's just having that natural personality in there is usually what stands out. And for some people, that's a quirkiness. For some people, that's the ad libs and the improv. They're funny, they can make anything sound funny. For some people, that's just a genuine connectedness or a genuine excitement that we can hear, things like that.
I think also it's that they get the script, right? They get
Yeah.
either the subtle jokes, or if it's not funny, they get the point of the script. When we phone in a script, meaning to those that don't know what phone in, a script means just reading it. We rip and read, and we read it like an announcer would, because we are from being
Trained improperly.
born watching
Born in the
commercials,
1900s.
right?
Oh, yeah.
But to really understand what the copywriter is trying to say, even if it's not that deep, I'm learning somehow that's so important. If you get the script, you will connect and you can sound like yourself, as opposed to blindly trying to get it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've said it before, like the hardest, it's as easy as just be yourself. And it's as
Right.
hard as
Exactly.
just be yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, how do you just be yourself? Like that's
Well,
always
that's
like
something
the
I
hard.
tell people too all the time. There's nobody else that sounds exactly like you. So stop trying to sound like other people. Be you, and that's what's going to make you different.
Oh, I love
But
you,
ladies,
Kathryn.
stepping up to the microphone is not in no defense of voice talent. I mean, it's our job, but it's like you suddenly become someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Oh, people do that all the time. I'm like, no, just talk to me like you were just a moment ago in the lobby. Like as soon as
Yeah.
you go into
Call it
that
the
booth.
pretty voice. Everybody goes into their pretty voice.
Yeah.
Right. It's like
all
an
of a sudden
affect.
you hear yourself and you're like, oh, and then everything gets a little smoother and you move in on the, and it's like, don't do that. Just talk.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Just talk. Just
Kathryn
talk.
has a great technique that she often uses in directing, where she'll ask a question and have the talent respond with the script as,
Oh,
to answer the question. So then it
Yeah.
feels more like a conversation. You're like right in it. So that could be a trick for people.
love
Yeah, and
it.
that's something I
Kathryn,
tell a
tell
lot of
us
people
more.
too, like, because we always focus on, have somebody you're talking to, have that person you're visualizing while you're
Right.
reading it. But I always tell people too, like, why are you telling them this? Like, what was the scenario that led you into giving me this spiel?
Yep.
And that kind of is what that question is let me ask you a question. What was the question that prompted you to say this information to me?
Right.
So
Why
kind
are
of
you
setting that
saying
scenario.
introducing?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
why?
exactly.
Why?
I mean, sometimes it's easier than others. Some scripts
Yeah.
make it a little easier,
No,
but
but it's true. You can
yeah.
still you can approach it that way
Mhm.
because that's a hard one, right?
And I find that helps. Yeah, that really helps focus in. You connect with it a little bit more. You have a reason for telling me this as opposed to here's just copy I was given.
Yeah.
Sure,
Is
sure.
part of your job directing beyond the auditions process? Are you actually in jobs where you're able to direct talent? And I ask because the volume of the work that you guys do and how many you hear, you are absolute experts in voiceover. And then you get to a job and the people directing you are not absolute experts at voiceover. Do you ever
Yeah.
find the opportunity to support talent in the job?
I mean, we wish that we could be more of a voice in it. A lot of times, it's just we're engineering or we're listening into a session, but the producer or the writer or even sometimes just
Engineer?
exec at the company
Yeah.
Exactly.
want to be there to direct, and it's like, oh, I was in a
Yeah.
session one time where they literally the same direction for about 2 hours was friendlier
Oh.
after every take, and I was like give more energy. Like I'm trying to like tell the talent through the window like different things to try because like they were giving him
Or every
nothing.
so often you can hear the person giving direction kind of like they know what they're trying to say, but they don't know how to put it into
Sure.
words. And sometimes, depending on my comfort level with the situation, I may chime in with what I think they're trying to get across.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
goodness.
the
those can be a little
translator.
trigger.
Yeah, the translator. Yeah,
This
that
is
always need one.
gold. This information is
know.
gold. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to find out what the crystal ball holds for the future
Mm.
when the team at the Voicecaster tells us their thoughts for the next 5 years. Okay, so a quick break here from our show to tell you about, speechless promo. Thank you again to our sponsors. We love you, StudioBricks, and we love you, Vocal Booth to Go. Thank you for being a sponsor this year. Thrilled. Also, we have a big contest coming up. Our 100th show is going to include prizes from Joe Cipriano, the Voicecaster, and some other people we're still asking and, pressuring. So it should be great. We also want, so the only way you can be in this contest is being on our newsletter. So if you're already receiving our newsletter, you're good to go. Don't worry. Those 6 people, there's more than 6, just a few. But if you want to be included in our contests, please do join our newsletter at speechlessvo.com. You'll also receive an email the day of each show that lists all the takeaways, lists the resources that we talk about in that show and our recipes. So please
And our
do join.
recipes, i.e. drink recipes.
Right. We have this amazing new thing. One more thing we want to talk about, and that's the super secret VO support group.
Not so secret.
We've built a community on our website for working pros. Join us, and then once a month, there's behind the scenes talk we can do all the time off of Facebook. But then once a month, we meet live to talk about basically VO therapy, but to be there for wins and goals and sharing and getting advice from each other. Yeah. So check out our website ASAP. Back to the show. Okay, so it's a tough question, but I'm sure as a team, you must have some, when you're not working all the time, you think about the future, and you did say the words AI, and I was hoping we wouldn't have to talk about that, but I don't know that it's even a factor because we are humans and we're doing our work and we're going to continue to do our work. And we know that diversity is absolutely imperative in advertising and, including everyone from on the camera to behind the camera.
Yep.
All that said, what is your wisdom for the next, say, 5 years, which of course things change a lot in 5 years. So I'm just keep it to 5
Or 3,
or 3.
if that's easier.
Read your contract.
I mean-
That seems to be the big thing right now.
Yeah.
Make sure what you're doing isn't
Oh.
going to be used in ways you don't want it to be.
Read
Well,
your contract.
and
Can we
I had-
trust our
Yeah,
so
can
go
you
ahead.
trust? Yeah, exactly, Kim. Like I just looked at 2 this morning and was doing the work while the contracts were sent to me, and then I'm like, what, and then to go back and say no, this is why agents are so important, and I
Mhm.
don't. I've done so much without agents, and so has Kim, and it's pressure cooker without someone else negotiating your behalf. But please expand on your thoughts about that.
Yeah, that is actually one of the things, talent who work on projects directly with us, we've got your back. We will help you with paperwork. I've sent the Nava writer to several clients who have incorporated it, either directly as is or their own iteration of it. So far, I have yet to have anyone, I mean, we work with a lot of agencies, a lot of producers. I have yet to have anyone fight against the no AI. And I have yet to have anyone, request for anything, crazy with the AI stuff. So, that's been okay on our end. So I feel like it's one of those things, and me and Kathryn were saying the same thing, like, are we going to get into the AI conversation? I don't want to get too into the AI conversation, but I will say that, like, I don't think you can replace humans.
Mhm.
And I think the other humans involved in most of these projects also know that you can't replace humans.
Mhm.
As much as they're playing with things to try to tweak it and get, as much of a human-like feel as you can to a voice, it's never going to have the emotion. It's never going to have the world experience. It's never going to be completely directable, like people are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So-
the
So,
nuance.
last question then. We have gone to with before COVID 95% in studio. What's your comfort level and thoughts about taking people back to your studio? Are you quite happy the way it is now?
I mean, it's one of those things where I know so many people who have moved out of LA. So many people are like, I don't want to leave my home studio now.
Yeah.
So I know we would never get back to being 95% in studio. However, we're working on some renovations right now. So we only have 2 of our studios open. Once renovations are done, we'll have all 4 plus a new 5th one opening.
Wow.
So our plan is to open that up, have our booth directors available. So when we send out a project, we can be like, hey, if you want the direction, if you don't want to have to spend an hour in your booth and edit yourself, come in for 10 minutes and audition with us. Obviously, if you're in LA, we also want to open it up to, our directors being available to direct via Zoom or Source Connect, that kind of a thing, so that talent can get more direction. I think it benefits everybody. You're not just sending things off into a void, you're getting that live feedback. Your auditions are going to be stronger. Our submissions to our clients are going to be stronger. I think it'll benefit everybody. So hopefully within the next year or so, once we've completed renovations on all the studios, then that's the plan. Try to get some people back in studio, obviously depending on availability, comfort level, all of that.
Very nice. Very
Mm.
good. I want to keep talking, so we're going to cheers and say goodbye, and then we're going to keep
And
them
then
to
stay
ourselves
on.
for just a couple.
Then, guys, you aren't allowed to get off. Right.
Thank you so much for
We're
your.
here the rest of the afternoon,
Well, if we had cocktails, we might be here longer.
right?
Well, I mean, it is 5 o'clock, and I got 30
Almost 5
minutes
o'clock,
till 5. I'm taking another sip.
Thank you so much for sharing with our audience.
Mm.
We appreciate it so much,
Yeah.
Kathryn and Kelly. Cheers.
And
Thanks
by
for
the way,
having us.
oh yeah, cheers. I didn't know that was the end. I thought we already did the end.
This episode of Speechless is brought to you by
Voice talent need quiet.
For us, quiet comes in the form of a StudioBricks booth.
I love my StudioBricks because it's whisper quiet in my incredibly noisy neighborhood.
And I love my booth because when clients see me on Zoom, they know I'm a pro.
Go to StudioBricks.com.
World-class sound isolation, light environmental footprint. Kim, have you ever made a pillow tent in your hotel room when a client asks for an audition or a job when you're away?
Yes. Yes, and I know what you're going to say. VOMO, the VO mobile booth, right?
Right, exactly. It's a portable vocal booth and ready for recording wherever and whenever. I feel like I really need that because I get nervous about pillow forts. So,
Yeah.
so why do we need it then?
Because it folds up very nice and neat, and you can take it with you wherever you go.
Absolutely. And you can check it easily, which I've done many times. And also, it comes with accessories like a light, and you can position your mic however you want.
No more pillow farts,
Yes, please.
please.
Vocalbooth2go.com for VO recording and accessories.
Speechless.